Welcome to the Valley Hoops Insider podcast, part of the Valley Hoops Insider website and all the things we do covering the Missouri Valley Conference and the OVC. And glad to have with us today the brand new and old head basketball coach at the Murray State program, the coach of the Racers, Steve Prohm. And Steve, thanks for joining us today. I know it's a crazy time of the year, school starting and all that. Appreciate you carving out time.
Yeah, no problem. Excited to do it. Excited to be a part of the Missouri Valley. Obviously, great tradition and great teams. And so we're excited to be a part of it.
Your first year back home, and that's got to be a little bit surreal. But I watched your press conference, and I watched you get very emotional when you talked about Katie and your family. Right after that, or right during that same time, I watched Ryan Pedon's press conference at Illinois State, and he did the exact same thing. What goes on in the heart and the mind of a basketball coach? There's so much going on, the excitement and all that, but your family is such a key point.
They are, and we're blessed. I've got an unbelievable wife. I've been married nine years, and her birthday's actually coming up this week, so getting ready for that. But we've got 4 children. 2 have been born here in Murray. 2 were born up in Iowa. But we just got so much connection to this university and to this city and this community. But your wife, she's seen it all. I mean, she's been to the mountaintop, she's been in the valley, and she's the one person that regardless of the outcome, she's not asking for anything in return, and she's got your back. And so, we've been fired together. We've won championships together. We've won NCAA tournament games together, but she's been by my side, and we've got 4 great kids. And like I said, we're really blessed, but we do have a special connection to this university and this community. My wife being here, me spending 10 years prior here as an assistant and a head coach. And it's a special place, and it's a big challenge us going to this new league. Obviously, we talked about the great programs, the great tradition. But it's, we're all excited here in this community about the change.
Your time at Iowa State, how are you different, better, the same? Like, did some things get cemented in this is really who I am? And then were there other things that were like, oh, this has got to change?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. I think what makes you successful. And when you go back, someone said, once you get fired, go back and look where you started and where you ended and what all you accomplished along the way. And so, there were 1 or 2 tough years along the way, but man, there was some really, really, really high moments as well. And, we won conference championships. We had, lottery pick, we had some guys obviously go on the NBA, but, you win 2 conference championships there in the Big 12 tournament. Those were special times. But Ames was a great place, and the new coach there is going to do a great job. But it's a special place. They got great support. Got great people up there. But the biggest thing I learned is obviously there is some things you got to change, but it's kind of like the 80-20 rule. 80% is pretty good, and it's been really good, and it's gotten me to this point. But there are some 20% of where there are some day-to-day things that you've got to make sure you do a little bit better job with. And then so much today is just predicated on you've got to do a great job, obviously, with the people you bring in player-wise and character and toughness and ability, but then you really got to dive in and make sure they know you care. And I think that's the way everything it functions, is just making sure everybody knows that you're in it for them. And I'm older now to where, I'm almost 50 now, to where, you're not just a young kid just trying to get into business and figure out a way to break in. And I'm in a really good place in my life to where it's really just about how can I impact Murray? How can I help them transition into this new league? And then how can I really help these student athletes and staff that I'm with every day?
You had to go on a recruiting flurry. I mean, you get the job and you have no roster. Everybody left except DJ and Roderick. And that had to be just a titanic kind of a task. Talk about just diving into the deep end of the recruiting world.
Yeah, I think everybody looks like, oh, man, why is everybody leaving? And I think everybody's, that's just the way the way it is right now. A couple of obviously top players had an opportunity to join Matt at LSU, which was a great opportunity for them. Some of the players wanted more playing time, so they moved on for different reasons. But I'm really, really thankful and appreciative of a guy like DJ Burns, who really was the heart and soul. All these great Murray teams that they've had over the years, there's kind of one heart and soul guy,
Mm.
may not be I coached a guy, Jawan Long, on some of our great teams. And, Matt had DJ Burns, but I really appreciate him and Rod's commitment, to me and this program and our vision, continue to, keep this program at a high level. But it's probably surreal to have 13 new guys to sign 12. No one's played together. No one's been coached by the same coach. And so everything for everyone in the program is new. And really, I've got a new staff as well, to where nobody's been with me outside of one guy. Was Cole Christian was my GA and manager up at Iowa State. Everybody else is new there, but I've got a former player in Dante Poole that I was on my team here that was 31-2. He was a senior my first year here as a head coach. He's back as a GA. Marcus Brown is here as special assistant to the head coach. I've known him for a long time. He's got great ties, being a former player, a Hall of Famer, played in the NBA, had his jersey retired here. And then Jack Seltsam, who's our video coordinator. He's got great ties to this university as well, being a student here and student manager, student assistant.
When you are recruiting, when you're looking at guys on tape or seeing them in person, do you say, boy, he reminds me of this kind of player, so I can plug him in like that? Like, do you look at a guy and say, well, he's Isaiah Canaan, Cannon, and or Campaign, or, I mean, do you do that kind of thing because you're going to run I don't know, system is the right word, but you have a flow that you like to play?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think once you get a guy and you say, I use take Jamari Smith, for example, who we got out of Queens, be a upperclassman for us. All right. In the recruiting process, when you're trying to sign him, you're like, man, he can fit. I can play him like so-and-so, that I've coached in the past. We can run that stuff for him. He can translate that way. But, same thing with the guards, whether it's, he plays a little bit like, when you say he play a little bit like Cannon, Payne, and those guys, they're really freaking good. That means. And so I think it's just, do they fit here? I think there's a lot of things you have to do here. You just can't be a great player. Obviously, you want to compete in the classroom, but this place is unique in that there's such a connection within the community. I mean, there's not many places in the country where on Saturday morning, the gym's packed to watch pickup. I mean, it just doesn't happen everywhere. And these people here, we've got an unbelievable following, and we travel well, and that's what makes this place really, really good.
I want to ask you about a couple of the players. I don't want to keep you forever, but Kenny White, I know he's had a hand injury. What's his status? How is he?
Yeah, he's back, and really excited to get him back. I think brings versatility. He's a guy, when we got here, the staff and even the old staff was like, hey, you need to try to get Kenny White. I thought he was a really good player at Tennessee Tech. He can play a lot of positions for us, really kind of 2, 3, 4 for us. Probably when we say 4, I mean 4 guards. We play 4 guards a lot. But he's got a great skill set. He's back, and his work ethic's been really good. That's what I've been really impressed. He's actually in the gym right now with a workout right now, but he's getting in the gym on his own, but he has no restrictions now. He just got totally cleared last week. And so it's good to get him back because he's a key piece for us.
When I look up and down your roster, it's guard, 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 guard. And you mentioned you play 4 guards. You have a lot of guards, and you have a lot of bigger guards. I mean, that had to be on purpose.
Yeah, I think we do have some good athleticism, some good size. I think the best team, defensively is if you can get guys 6'4", 6'5", like size guys that are skilled and can switch 1 through 4. Some teams, obviously, now they switch 1 through 5 and make it even more difficult for you. And I know some of the teams in the Valley will do that. And so we want to put ourselves in a position, to do that, to have some versatility on both ends of the floor.
Braxton Stacker is a St. Louis guy. Talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, excited, man. All freshmen have that's the biggest thing. You talk to these freshmen, especially in the day and age where we're at now, where everybody wants the quick fix or we may transfer, we don't want to stay the course. That's the one thing great about, I've got 2 different former players on the staff. Marcus Brown, that from day one was kick butt here and, played in the NBA. Then we have a guy, Dante Poole, who it took 3-4 years. And then his 4th year, he was on a top 10 team in the country here. And it was OVC tournament MVP. And so, but Braxton is one of the 5 freshmen out of the 5 freshmen. He's one that has an opportunity because of his body, because of his strength, athleticism, to have an opportunity to play, as a freshman. He's in the gym. He understands work ethic. he's got a chance to continue to grow and become a good player here for sure.
Justin Morgan, 2,800 high school points. That's like that's a video game number. Like, is he that guy? I mean, can he really fill it up like that at this level?
Yeah, well, he can really shoot. And I think when you go into the Valley and you look at the skill set, you need guys that can really make shots. And even coming from, Iowa State, coaching a guy like Matt Thomas, Nazmi Trulong, those guys are some of the best three-point shooters in the history of the school there. You need guys that can really make shots and spread the floor and space the floor. And Justin can shoot it at a high, high level. And he's got great size, great kid, great work ethic. And so that was our biggest thing. When you're signing 12 guys, you got to make sure you get the right, you just don't want to take a ton of chances, because if you get the wrong mix of guys, man, it's going to be tough. And our biggest thing this year, you talked about what do you learn kind of going from Murray to Iowa State back to Murray. Man, you gotta get your foundation set, and then you gotta build it day by day. And then you gotta continue to work at it consistently. And that's what we're trying to do right now. And we had a summer where we had a lot of different workouts. You got 12 new guys, and then 13 and 14 with DJ and Rod. You think somebody's going to be late, somebody's going to mess up. Those guys were on time and worked hard all summer. And so it's kind of springboarded us into the fall to where if you've got good character, it gives you an opportunity to compete. Now you got to go do it on the floor.
I want to ask you about some of those foundations in a minute, but you did sign 4 Division I guys or 3 Division I guys, and DJ came back. How important was it for you to get some experience in guys like Wood and Perry and White?
Yeah, we needed Jacoby Wood's a big piece. Obviously, he can play the point, he can play the off guard, combo guard, but he's been coached. He's played at Belmont, which I know Belmont's a rival, but we've got great respect for Belmont. They're going to do phenomenal going in this new league. We've had great battles with them over the years. I jokingly say when I was at Iowa State, I was rooting against them when Murray played, but obviously great respect what Rick Byrd did there and then what Casey's doing there now. So we know Jacoby, he's been coached. He understands what a real program looks like. And so I think that's really, really important. And then, Rob Perry, obviously playing for a terrific coach in Donnie Jones, but a guy that can really score. He in 2 years, he scored 1,000 points, I believe. And so, really has an opportunity to really, can really score the basketball, can really make shots. And so that gives us a little bit of experience there. And then Kenny White, like I talked on, his versatility. I think he's just tapping the surface on really how good he can become.
It's an exciting time for all basketball teams because everybody's undefeated and we're feeling good about the season. But you talked about those foundations, and I heard you on the Valley press conference a couple of weeks ago talking about some of those foundations in your program about being servants, humble, thankful, respectful, some of those kinds of things. What are the practical things that you do to, I don't know, insert those into the program?
Well, I think that's the one thing you in the recruiting process, you want to make sure you get those guys in here. But I think humility is the biggest key. I've heard this for a long time. Through success or failure, you've got to show great humility. And I think that's the one thing as the leader, as the head coach, hopefully I've been able to do that through whether you're 31-2 or you win a Big 12 championship. You want to have humility and understand why you're there. But also when you struggle and you have opportunities where you fail. Why did you fail? What were the struggles? You got to be humble enough to change a little bit or understand why this didn't work out. And so I think humility is the first pillar. But I think just the day-to-day relationships with these guys and talking to them about, what we talk, whether we had a saying years ago, wisdom, courage, joy, I think that's important, that you understand wisdom, that's the biggest, they say that's the biggest tool you can ever have in life is having great wisdom. My face important to me. That's what it says, courage, and then joy. You got to enjoy. And I think Coach McMahon talked about it, when he was here. You got to be joyful. And Baylor talks about it a lot. You got to be joyful. And I think that's really important. But I think it comes with the recruiting process. And then, we do a thing with our team. It's called the H game. And we went through all 25 people in our program, where you share your history, your highlights, your hope, your hero, your heartbreak, your honey, and you really dive in to find out. Because if you have a real relationship, you got to get beneath the surface with people, and man, you find out so much about each person's background, their path, whether it's my assistants, whether it's my, uh, you know, managers, whether it's my walk-ons, whether it's my scholarship players, whatever it may be, you just find out so much. And hopefully that can help relate. You can help relate these principles to that.
31-3 were the Racers a year ago. Then Matt moves and the whole roster takes off and you come back in. But it was like a celebration. Your press conference was a celebration. It was like our son has come home. It had to be very encouraging to see not just that the university thought it was good to have you back, but the fans, the media, et cetera, were all just like, well, of course, this is the perfect fit.
Yeah, I think it's a life lesson too, and about how do you leave a place? How do you handle yourself while you're at a place within the community to where, not everybody's going to agree with every decision you make on your subs and your timeouts and what play you ran, but how do you represent the university on a day-to-day basis? How do you impact the community? And if you do it the right way, my dad always said, you never burn a bridge. You're going to see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. So that's where the humility and all that stuff comes in. And so it is a good life lesson to where, hey, you have an opportunity to come back. Well, this is where we call home. This is the longest place I've lived since I grew up in Northern Virginia. So this is home for us. And we're excited about transitioning this league, transitioning this university and program into the Valley. We do have special relationships here because there's a lot of investment here. But like you said, they went 31-3 and the whole roster left, and they expect to win 32 games this year because that's the mentality of the fans here. But that's great. You want to be somewhere where there's expectations, and you definitely have those here.
Super excited to see how the Racers perform this year. Before I let you go, so Matt leaves, goes to LSU. So he makes the leap that you made, meaning to one of the quote unquote power conferences. Have you guys had conversations? Have you said, hey, dodge this, avoid that, press that? I mean, have you guys had those kinds of conversations?
Yeah, I think so. Matt was phenomenal for me. He was a big part of my success here and was a tremendous assistant, asset, and friend. I've known Matt a long time. And so my biggest thing, I reached out to him and we talk probably once a week or once every 2 weeks, whether it's text or call. But my biggest thing was, all right, hey, here's what I've learned. Okay, good and bad, that I think can help you in this transition. Because I want to see him obviously have great success, and he will. I think he's an elite coach. You saw that, and like I said this many times, he's probably, arguably done the best job of any coach here at Murray State. Through his 7 years here and the championships and the teams that he had here, and I believe he's got a great staff down there at LSU, and they're going to do the same things down there.
But you're right. There's ups and downs. I mean, he had a year or two that weren't perfect, that weren't great. Ja Morant happened and a lot of things adjusted, but he had a year or two there that were a struggle. And yeah, you just got to stay the course. Give me a player that maybe isn't, the maybe top 8 or 9 guys on your team, meaning as I look at them and I look at their resumes and their press clippings, who's one guy that might surprise us that and maybe it might be all 13 of them because we don't know any of them in connection there. But is there a guy that you think, man, he's under the radar right now, but people are going to notice him?
Man, you probably could say a couple guys. Brian Moore, I think people know about him, but he's a really good point guard that came in from the junior college ranks. I think he's got an opportunity to really impact our team with the pace that he plays with and his playmaking ability. Jamari Smith, Division II, both Division II transfers that we have, Jamari Smith and Quincy Anderson. And then we've got, our freshmen, a lot of them are wild cards right now because we haven't started practicing and they're just learning, Sam Murray, Jackson Edwards, super athletic, great kids, that they're continuing to, they're in the learning process right now. But, there's always, whenever you look at a roster of 13, especially when you sign 12, there's going to be a couple that aren't as good as you thought. There's going to be a couple that are what you thought they were. And there's going to be a couple that are better than you thought and may work their way into that top 7, top 8, that you need. And so it'll be interesting to see.
Rod Thomas is not a guy that is on anybody's scouting report right now, but a fan favorite and a guy that's been there for a long time. How I don't know, satisfying. How great is it for Rod Thomas to still be on that squad?
Yeah, I think, he's had a great, great career here. I mean, he's won a couple championships. His dad played here,
Mhm.
probably, 15 years or so ago, 15, 20 years ago, his dad played here. His sister's actually coming to school here. So they've got great, great connections in Ty. He understands this university, understands this program. We did a shooting drill yesterday, this Curry shooting drill. We do a 3-minute drill. You're supposed to make 48. He made 51. He can really, really shoot. But he wants to get into coaching. And so this is great for him to continue to learn. And, whether he stays here as a GA, one day or goes off, with some other coaches that he knows for that opportunity is yet to be determined. But he'll be a terrific coach and a great ambassador for our school. And he's got a great NIL deal. He's got the best NIL deal right now because everybody knows him here. So he's got a great NIL deal right now.
He's cashing in. Love to hear that. Hey, Steve, appreciate your time today. Wish you all the best in the Valley this year. And we'll see you when you come to St. Louis here in September for the media day. But appreciate your time today. Wish you all the best.
Yep, for sure. Thanks so much for having me.
Glad to do it. That's head coach Steve Prohm of the Murray State Racers. I'm Harry Schroeder. Remember, since you've been there, make it a better place. We'll see you again real soon.